Hi guys, this video is going to probably be on the short side, but I wanted to show you how I used Blender 2.8 grease pencil to not only compose this shot but to finish it up over top of a shot that was done using many other techniques in Blender. Blah, 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 blah. So here's what we have. We've been kind of tightening up these various shots for a bit. When we got to this shot, I realized that problematically, and as has happened so many times, I forgot her pigtails. So I thought, okay, what can we do in Blender 2.8 to deal with pigtails? So here's how I did it. First of all, in Blender 2.8, and by the way, I will tell you that if you go back to, if you want to know how this shot was actually created in the first place, you would go to here. So this was 5 months ago when it was originally done. Anime shot in Krita and Blender, and that was before I started numbering it, creating an anime number 192, 93, blah, blah, blah. So that's the video that explains this shot's original composition. But to just show what's really going on here, here it is. So you had this composition that was created in Krita with each of these different layers, and then each layer was exported as an individual image. That way, let's see here. Let me just look at the blending modes here, or the rendering modes. And if we go into object mode, then you see we can grab each of these planes, and the characters are just mapped to planes. It's about as simple as it gets. And then, because it's in 3D and you've got the 3D camera move, you get the parallax when you go to the camera view. Now you can do this in OpenToonz. It has a 3D camera, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, what I realized today was, you know, the shot looks pretty good, but no pigtails. What do we do about that? Well, what we do is we add a grease pencil object. Now there was no grease pencil object in this shot, and so I want to kind of pull out here and show you how I did this. I just clicked somewhere in the scene, or in the Blender 3D space, and I hit and by the way, you need to be in object mode. I hit Shift A, and then I added a grease pencil blank object. Now Blender placed that object just like it did this one. It placed it where the cursor was. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. So it was really important that I take that grease pencil object, and if we go into, let's go into wireframe mode. I'm trying to see the grease pencil. I guess right there I've got it. Okay, so what I had to do was turn this, let's take the perspective off, and basically turn it sideways and put the grease pencil object as close to the plane as I could. Because otherwise, when I animated it, because the camera moved, the position of those pigtails relative to her body, that, by the way, I should probably explain this too. If you go into edit mode, you can see that I subdivided this plane, and then I actually just added an armature and used default weighting, so that when you, let's see here, I guess we want to go into navigating the 3D space. Okay, so now when we go into pose mode, as you can see, it just deforms the plane. So I just used the default weighting. I didn't do anything particularly fancy as far as the armature. The way that it's deforming the plane is about as simple as it gets. Okay, so anyway, so I added this, and actually when you move around here, you can see that the grease pencil object is positioned a little bit in front of the plane. Okay, so if it was really far away, then when the camera moves in, it would cause the pigtails to drift relative to her position. Now initially I tried this. and I should show this. I'm just going to grab the grease pencil object here. At first I thought I could parent the grease pencil pigtails to the armature. Okay, so now I'm going to go into object mode and grab the grease pencil object. Okay, and then down here you have what's called relations, and this is what used to be in Blender 2.79, the way that you could take a grease pencil layer and parent it to another object. So in Blender 2.8, that's relations. Okay, so I chose the armature, and then I chose one of the bones, and I actually experimented. I thought at first it would be the last bone, but here's what happened. When it animated, even though they're kind of in the same place in space here, it didn't really matter, because when the bone moved, the grease pencil object was moving like a lot more than the bone was. I don't know that that's a bug. I think that's got to do with the rotation. In other words, if I went to the trouble to make sure that the grease pencil object's rotational center was right here in the exact same spot as the axis of, or not the axis, but I guess the anchor point of that last bone, then I think that what we're seeing here might not have happened. But because she's moving so frenetically, the decision that I made was to go ahead and just hand animate it. So you can see there's lots and lots of keys here. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the grease pencil object and just cancel that relation. So now okay, now that's interesting. Now it looks like it's offset it. Okay, that would be a bug. Okay, that really should not have happened. But that's alright, we'll reload the project. Don't you think for a minute, folks, that Blender 2.8 doesn't have some bugs up its sleeve? Because trust me, it's got plenty. That's why I'm not using the grease pencil for a lot of animation. But in this case, it made sense. Because then what I did was I just went through frame by frame, and wherever the armature went ahead and moved, which is pretty much on 2s, I just randomly drew a different pigtail. Okay? So now to make this a little more easier to visualize, I'm going to go ahead and go into object mode, and I'm going to go up here. I'm going to take the armature, and let's just hide it so it's not showing up. Let's just get it out of there. Okay? So you just go to your outliner and just hit the eyeball. Now you can't see it anymore. Alright, and that was it. I just took 5 minutes, and look how cool the animation looks. Really nice. You know, after she stops moving, the pigtails sort of settle, and I think it's probably, you know, payoff for the effort. It's one of the better results I've gotten. And so now let's go back and look at how it cut into the show. We'll kind of go back a few shots. So she's chewing the guy out, and then all of a sudden she realized that the ninja she kicked in the nads and sent out the window is coming back in. And then, boom, this guy grabs her. And so there's the shot we just were talking about. And then the next thing that happens is that the show picks up from there, and we're going to be going ahead and tightening up and or redoing a few of these shots downstream here. So especially these, because the ink and paint really kind of fell apart on some of this stuff. So that's it for that. I will add one final little point about OpenToonz while I'm here, which is that I discovered today that the nightly build that I'm using of OpenToonz, which this is OpenToonz 1.3 built September 16th, it turns out that plain old raster levels can now do fill operations, and I did not know that until I started playing around today. So you might wonder, well, okay, why do I care, right? Here's why I care. Alright, let's just grab a raster brush and paint a shape. Now, maybe I should go ahead and, you know what I'm going to do? Because you probably are watching this video, the likelihood is extremely high that you're watching this video because it was about Blender 2.8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here upload that video, and then I'll do another video to explain this thing about OpenToonz, and we'll just upload 2 videos today. So that way you don't have to sit through this stuff, and the people that are looking for OpenToonz stuff can just watch the next video that I'm going to post. So that is it for now. That took only 10 minutes, and you guys know there will be more later.